Bar con tip: don't sit at the bar because you're facing away from the bar. You
Yeah.
sit somewhere with your back to the bar. You're facing the whole room. And if you can, if it's one of those bars that fit into like the lobby of the hotel, you
Uh-huh.
want to sit on the outer edge of that bar so that everybody coming through that lobby. And that was my position. I mean, I used to sit there all the time. Like I'd see somebody like, "Hey, you were in this. Come over here and sit down." And it.
Hello, writers and crafters. I'm Valerie Ihsan.
And I'm Eric Mertz.
This is episode 178 of the podcast, and it is February 26th, 2025, as we record this. Today, we're going to be talking about writing friends, writing groups,
Oh,
writing community.
oh. I'm picturing Frog and Toad like immediately.
Oh,
That's right where my mind goes when you say that.
am I frog or toad?
You be whatever you want to be.
My maiden name is, I don't know, Todd, Todd.
Oh,
And when I was a kid in like kindergarten, first grade, the slur of the day was Valerie Toad.
oh,
So
let's leave it up to
I
the
don't want to
listeners.
be Toad.
Let's
I
leave
will
it
be
up to the
Frog.
listeners. If you want to email the show or leave it in the comments who you think is Frog and who you think is Toad, we will send you an autographed Frog and Toad t-shirt that we make for the show.
Wow, that's
I will
awesome.
I
That'll
will
be
make a
on
Frog and
your, okay.
I will make a Frog and Toad t-shirt with for us, and I will get at least one made for that person and send it out to them.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love the idea of having writer craft merch. That's awesome.
that's next phase, girl. Next phase.
Next phase. All right. Author updates. I am starting new projects. I am happily dropping some hours at the bookstore.
Yay!
Coming down. Yeah. I'm
I love
still
bookstores, but I'm so glad you're not going to be there.
I love bookstores too, but yeah, it's not my it's retail. It's I mean, yay, I love what I'm selling, but it is a
Right?
retail job, which is not my favorite.
No,
And
shouldn't be.
yeah, I'm finding actually I had this conversation with my husband because I've been feeling like I just need a lot more alone time than I used to. And I had a lot of feelings around that, like, I love you. I want to spend time with you, but not really, like I really need to be by
In
myself,
limited doses.
And I thought, like, what is it? Is this because I'm aging? Is this like a menopause thing? I don't know what this is. And he was like, it's working full time with people all day long. Like, that's why you need extra alone time. Once you go back to part time, you're going to be just back to your normal, whatever. And I was so happy to hear that. Like, oh, it's not just me being like, I don't know. I I never associated myself technically as an introvert, but
You're an introvert.
definitely
Come
have
on. Come on.
I guess I am.
You are such an introvert.
What did we call that? Ambiverts or something like the in
Omniverts.
between, the omnivert. Oh,
The
ambi. I like
difference between
both.
one and the other is where they get their energy. It's the
Yeah,
only difference. Like I
yeah.
am an introvert, but I am like a people person in public, but like I got to come back here and like
In your writer cave and
yeah, put it
definitely
back together.
noise canceling headphones, some sort of like spa music, and I'm like in my journal. I sit in the hot
Oh
tub a
yeah.
lot. Like that's my alone time. And yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. What's up with you? What's going on?
It's been busy over here. Um, my business has taken off. It's been a lot of new clients and a lot of new project management going on. So as we talked off air, there's been a lot of like process refinement on my end and a lot of like really trying to hone in on like the most and efficient for me and the people that I work with, as well as like value added for the people that are hiring me. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of reached the place where, I've done things sort of ad hoc for the last 20 years. I can't continue to do things in an ad hoc manner anymore. It's now becoming like, all right, you like I may have to get stationary.
Yeah.
I
I
may
was just
have to get
thinking,
I may
you're
have to get little address labels, you know. Hey,
you may. Well, and you talked a little bit too with me last week about maybe it's time to get a VA. Like it's it's time for those systems, I guess, which is a
I'm
great place to
sweating.
be in.
I'm
I'm so
sweating. My
excited for
vision is
you.
narrowing. Like my stomach is flopping over. Like I just ate a lot of Thai food. It gets it.
You can do hard things.
I can. But look, it's when you've sort of like look, there was a point in my career. Like this is a career, folks. I guess I have
Hmm.
to admit that as well, where I kind of prided myself in like I can make it up as I go along. Like I that's my superpower. I can build the track as the train is running.
Hmm.
Geek.
Not so much now. You got
That was a
too many
superpower. Now
tracks.
it's a hindrance. Yeah, there's too many tracks. So,
Yeah.
um, this is going to be like a period of like definite, like, I don't want to say reinvention, but just like, making some like formalizing some things that were ad hoc before. So
Hmm.
it'll be
That's
fun.
good. Yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
Um, Announcements. I am going to be teaching in Anderson Island. Do you know where that is? Puget, I think it's
No,
Island in the Puget Sound. Um, on March 15th, Saturday, March 15th from 9 to 4. It's a $50 workshop for
just
the
2 weeks away,
Anderson
folks.
Island Arts. And it is on it's on focusing and finishing. It's on projects. It's a workshop in intuitive planning and strategy. So that's exciting. I'll have the
Yeah.
link to sign up to register for the class in the show notes, and I'm super excited. She just emailed me and was like, "Hey, will you come and do this thing?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." And they're gonna put me up for a couple nights, and so yay, Ellie's gonna go
That's
with
all I
me.
need. Like
Okay.
I gotta up my game a little bit when it comes to these speaking engagements. But if you're gonna get me a hotel room, like I feel like does that make me frog or toad? Like I think frog probably like really likes the perks and toad wants the money. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I boy, I just love it when the offer from when the thing says we'll give you lodging. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
lodging. Towels I don't have to do in the laundry. Woo!
That's awesome.
Small
Uh,
victories, folks. Small
Small
victories.
victories. We want to thank our existing patrons for believing in our work offline and here in the podcast. You can become a patron of the arts at patreon.com/Valerie Ihsan and patreon.com/Strange Air Stories. Come find us on Patreon, which
And that,
is a writing community,
oh, where are you like
kind
hinting?
of.
Um, my Patreon will be updating here soon. There will going to be a whole new slew of things. It's going to be look different, feel different, and it may be actually like way more exciting than before. So stay tuned.
Oh, it will. Don't say it may
It
be
will
more
be.
exciting.
It's more exciting for
You
me.
gotta
Maybe
work
if it's
on
more
your
exciting,
marketing skills, dude.
oh come on. I feel like I don't know. Like I know sometimes it's like what's exciting for me. Like other
Yeah.
people look at me and they're like, whatever, dude.
What are you
I am
reading?
reading. I am reading. I promised this before, and I'm going to fulfill it. I'm reading Mort by Terry Pratchett, the first book in the Death subseries of Discworld. A funny little note on this: my son has a friend whose dad I've hung out with a couple of times. I found out he's like a major Terry Pratchett fan, huge, huge. And so to break the ice, like we've hung out, but we've never like hung out. But when
Hmm.
I when he told me he was a Terry Pratchett fan the other day, I said, "Well, I'm considering which Discworld book to read next." Now all of a sudden we have this like texting, like we're like high school girls like texting each other about Discworld and what to read next. It was so funny. My wife was like, I told her, she's like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like you've broken through." So yeah, yeah.
That's
Men
awesome.
can connect on something other than beer, sports, and motorbikes. Like we can connect on Terry Pratchett. It works. The magic.
I am
What are you
reading
reading?
In the Dream House, which is a memoir by Carmen Maria Machado.
Hmm.
And it is super interesting. Like the writing style is wild. Um, yeah, the container of the memoir itself is kind of its own character. It's
Hmm.
really interesting. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I also picked up, I just started reading it last night. It was just what I was called to read when I sat in the hot tub, and I don't have it in front of me. And now I can't remember the name of it. Oh my God, that's just terrible. But
Well, I
I
wanted
will
to say that I
definitely,
bought right after our last talk,
uh-huh,
last podcast, A Swim in a Pond in the Rain. I bought it.
uh-huh.
So I will be reading. I took one of your recommendations.
Did you get the audiobook or did you buy the book?
I
The
bought the
the
book.
the print. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I wanted the book. When I saw the cover, it's like purple on purple. It's
Yeah,
got the lavender with the
it's
deep
so
purple. I thought, oh,
pretty.
that's a cool cover. I just want to have that book. So
Yeah.
it will be the next craft book I read.
Lane Moore is the author of the book that I'm reading, and it's called You Will Find Your People: How to Make
Okay.
Meaningful Friendships as an Adult.
Oh boy.
Right? There's no
That's an
more like running
what an
around.
int what an interesting conversation that is always, right?
Well, again, I think it kind of leads into, I think that's probably why I wanted to talk about like community today,
Yeah.
because, when you're a kid and you're in school, you're shoved into a room with 30 other kids and you have slotted times to hang out together. And
Right.
you're often with those same people for years, off and on. Like you have different classes and stuff, but you'll see them around and they it's kind of like an
Yeah.
instant friend thing. Unless you're not, unless you're the
But not to
weird
continue to
kid
hint,
that doesn't fit with any of the.
right.
Actually, that's not true. I didn't fit into any one slot, but I had a friend from each group. Like I had a
Boy, you and I were
thespian
the same.
friend, I had
Yeah.
a cheerleader friend, I had a,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a
Yeah.
nerd friend.
I was like an
So,
agency. I was like an agency. I had like, what do you need? What do you need? You need someone on the chess team, marketing club? Got it. Um, why don't we just go into it now? Like, here's my
okay.
tip. Get a comfortable chair.
Get a comfortable chair for today. That's your tidbit
That is my tip,
resource.
right? I'm buying a new office chair and I went and tested out office chairs and immediately felt like, oh, this is why my lower back hurts. This is why my
Oh,
hips hurt. Like I'm sitting in a cheap chair and it doesn't conform to my needs. And so I sat in a bunch of chairs the other day and I said, like, I got to be comfortable when your physical body needs you to be comfortable. The
yeah.
writer body needs you to be physically comfortable.
Yeah, Ali got a new office chair a year ago, I think, and it was pretty game changer for him too.
Yeah.
I don't have a nice office chair, but that might change soon. Right now, I am using, wow, I'm kind of afraid to say what I'm using. It's one of those like original office chairs, like the cheap black IKEA,
That's
roller
mine.
one, and the back fell off. So
Oh
it's
no.
just a little like stool on wheels, basically.
So it's a crummy chair that's broken.
And that's what I've been using for like
Wow.
12
I can't
years.
continue doing this, folks. I'm signing off. Just kidding.
That's funny.
Get a comfortable chair. It's like I've been shopping for them. They're not expensive. I mean, they are. They cost
They
money, but
are.
you realize like the trickle down of discomfort is way more expensive than the cost of the chair. Your body just doesn't want to be like this anymore. It's my massage therapist wife talking, where she's just like,
And I used to be a massage therapist, so I
right.
know what you're talking about. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
We
My
should
little
all listen to the
tidbit,
massage therapist in our life more.
yes. My little tidbit is check out your human design chart. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh
It's kind
gosh,
of like
no.
this it's the woo in me coming out. It's kind of a mix of like
You don't have to
astrology
announce
and
that. That's just
I
the
know.
theme of the podcast. It's just the theme we do. Who's more wooey, frog or toad? That's going to be like that. We have to make that decision.
We have to make the t-shirt now.
Yeah. Oh, it's happening. Listen.
But human design is kind of like a combo of like astrology and I Ching and Enneagram, and like it's kind of a combo of all that. It depends on your time of birth, and
Oh, I've heard about this.
it's just
Yep.
super interesting, and reading about it's just another way to learn about yourself and find out why maybe things don't work for you. Like, I'm finding little tidbits of, oh, like that's totally what I'm doing. Oh, and that's why it's happening. Oh, I could change that. Oh, so it's just empowering to like make changes in your life and and become a better you. And that's kind of my life purpose. I really think that I'm here to be the best I can be, which sounds kind of slogany, but not at the same time. So that's my tip. Check out human
Got it.
design, and you can, yeah, usually get a chart for free. Just Google human design, and a lot of stuff comes up. I just found a podcast that I'm actually really liking. It's Human Design with Jenna Zoe, and that's the podcast. And her URL, her website is myhumandesign.com. I also have I got my chart from Jenny Cotton, so I follow her, and I'm on like this little membership thing. And so there's a lot of information out there, and you can just really get into the weeds as much as you want. But anyway, it's fun and
We love the
eye-opening.
weeds.
We love the weeds. So let's go into the weeds on,
Let me jump. Can I just jump on this to start? Because you said
yeah.
something that really made me think. You talked about that, like when we're young, and we can all acknowledge that whatever like our schooling was, like it's a very that's it's designed to sort of create a cohort that it creates friendships, right? There's that
Mm-hmm.
line from Stephen King's this Stand By Me. He says like we never make friends like we do when we're young later in
Mm-hmm.
life, and that's
Mm-hmm.
true. And that's why
Yeah.
like nostalgia for childhood is so powerful, I think. But I think it's also important and to acknowledge that that's true, but also I think one of the things we miss is the recognition that when we are part of a group that's coming up together. And I just think of the Willamette Writers' formative experiences where that's where I know you. That's where I know Eric Witchy. I can think of like at least 15 people, and whether or not I consider them friends, they are writer colleagues that I connect to. And it's there are opportunities here. And I think to start out, like, let's get in the mindset of looking at what we're doing as the potential for a little mini version of what we did when we were kids, right?
So, I think we should also talk about like the different kinds of groups, or how to find them,
Communities. Yeah.
how to know what you personally need, because we all, as we talked about with the introversion and stuff, like my idea of hell is going to a cocktail party where I don't know anybody. And that's kind of like conferences, networking meetings. Like, oh my God, that sounds horrific. Like I'm sweating just thinking about it.
Oh no, no.
but
I hear
but
you.
that's so how do you find it then? How do you break past that? Like, I mean, I love teaching at conferences because everyone else comes up to you.
That is a
Everybody
perk
wants
of
to
that
talk
whole
to
role.
you,
Big
so
perk of that role.
and I feel confident because I know what I'm talking about, and people already see me as somebody that knows what they're talking about, and because often why I feel um uncomfortable in settings where there's a lot of people where I don't know them, I feel inferior
Right.
because I feel like I don't, why would anybody come talk to me? I don't know what I'm talking about. And I get all stuttery and babbly and not make
Whole
any
nother topic
sense.
here.
No.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a whole nother subset of this conversation. I think I have an answer though.
Mm.
I think that like when we think about community, group, whatever, like it's a broad term, right? So when you walk into a writers conference, right? You start with the broad term, like I'm entering a writer community, right? There's this, even just one conference forms its own individual community. It is your decision if you're going to more specifically define that as my community, right? So like you walk in open-minded to like what could this possibly be? I am here at the 2023, 2022. I don't remember which Alaska Writers Guild conference I went to, but here I am at the 2023 Alaska Writers Guild conference. This is a community. It quickly became part of my community because then I have stayed in contact with people from that community and tried to ingratiate myself to come back.
Mhm.
But I didn't have like so I think it's looking at everything broadly and full of curiosity and possibility and then deciding do I want to make this specifically mine, right? I might walk into the Oregon Christian Romance Writers Conference in Seaside and say, a writers community, not my writers community, and just not make that decision to go deeper.
So, what makes you feel like, all right, I want this to be my community, or I want this to be my writer friend, or I want this to be my critique group? How do you
They
come
pay
to
for
that
lodging.
conclusion?
If you pay for lodging, I will be part of your writer community. Um, it's like-mindedness,
Yeah.
right? It's
Hmm.
like-mindedness. I've felt myself, my writers group came together because I honestly don't think about sales when I write. I think about like reaching readers and writing things that make me happy. Because if those two things work, then the other things take care of itself. That's the way the people in my writers group are. They're never talking about is this going to sell. Same thing with working with word crafters. It's about get the story out, learn to write, find your space. Like it's all it fits my value system. That's why
Hmm.
I've eschewed the whole like 20 books to 50K world because it's like, how do I maximize sales? I don't know. Are you thinking about the cart before the horse here?
And like no shade to that community. And I've
No,
been
not at
to
all.
one of their conferences, and it was just so completely vast that I really felt like a
Right.
drop in a water there, which is not a community that I feel comfortable in. I like smaller communities. So from
Yeah.
that point on, I have spent my money on going to, mastermind groups or, master classes where there's just a teacher and like, 10 to 40 other people. You know what I mean? Like just a
Yeah, that's
smaller
your
group.
values.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I feel comfortable. So
Yeah.
how
And some people want to compete with those numbers with 20 to 50, right? They just like they want to it's their goal to post one of those like look at my sales increases from listening to this stuff. Like and
Mhm.
that's great. That's their values. They need that. Not everybody wants to go to Vegas for vacation. Some people want to get a cabin in Reno, or in
Right?
Tahoe. So,
Well, so looking at what you need as an individual too, like for me, I like the smaller groups,
yep,
or like if you wanna, where do you want to go on vacation?
right.
But what is it that we need from community? And I want to broaden that term of community and also bring it down, actually broaden the term, but bring it down more singular. So also writing friends, writing groups, critique groups,
Yeah,
um, how those work the same way, finding maybe the way you find them, like you said, with well, we met at a conference and
right,
we've been, colleagues and then friends, ever
right.
since. So it morphed into what we have now. And we wouldn't have made that initial connection if we didn't go out of our comfort zone and go to the bar
Right.
at the conference. And actually, maybe that's a tip. Like, if there's a
Go to the
bar in the
bar.
hotel, just like the place you sat at and everything, you stationed yourself so that people would walk by. You could see people, you could
Always.
make eye contact with people if you wanted to, like,
Don't.
raise a
Here's a
glass to
tip.
someone.
Barcon tip. Don't sit at the bar because you're facing away from the bar. You
Yeah.
sit somewhere with your back to the bar. You're facing the whole room. And if you can, if it's one of those bars that fit into like the lobby of the hotel, you
Uh-huh.
want to sit on the outer edge of that bar so that everybody coming through that lobby. And that was my position. I mean, I used to sit there all the time. Like I'd see somebody like, "Hey, you were in this. Come over here and sit down." And they'd be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"What? You know,
But
what are you
that's how
calling me over here for?" Because this is how I deal with social anxiety. I make the room bigger.
you make the room bigger. Say more about that. What do you mean?
Like if I'm at a table and it's just me, that's anxious. But if there's 10 people at the table, suddenly I'm not so anxious anymore because it's like
Oh, yeah.
there's so much other energy going on. And it's like people are, we're at the table together, but also like I'm not, you know, it's not
You're
one
not
on
in
one or
charge of talking and having, you
right.
just sit there and listen and it banters, it ping pongs the
I'm a
conversation.
natural recruiter and I will just bring people to the table and let's just keep it going. Um,
Nice.
I
That's
think,
definitely a frog.
yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. That means you're Toad. You didn't want to be
I
Toad.
know I don't want to be Toad, but whatever. We'll let the
I
listeners
think
decide.
one of the things I teach when I teach my sort of self-publishing success seminar thing, one of the things I say in there is like this idea of upward or downward networking is, bleep. It's garbage. It's like I think what inhibits the growth of community is this idea that like I got to network with people and think of them in tiers. I say this all the time. My first Willamette Writers Conference, I looked at people who were above the line as people I had to talk to and people below the line that I would talk to when there's no one else. And that's
Mm.
now some of those people who were quote unquote below the line. Fonda Lee, I'll just say the name. She's on the cover of Locus magazine because her new series is coming out. She has the whole sci-fi fantasy world abuzz. She was at those tables. And I looked at
Mm.
her, unfortunately, at that time as just another writer. So I don't know. I think it's not always, you don't need, it's not about necessarily hitching your wagon to someone who's going somewhere, but you also have to like, you
Be
want to be around
open.
mobility. People who are moving forward help you move forward, whatever direction you want to go.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
You want to be around
So
mobility.
you want to be, yeah. I just want to speak to the people that are not like, yeah, I'm never going to go to a networking thing, or I don't have the money to go to a conference, or whatever. How am I going to find my people then? And I think it starts with what you need and what you want. Like, do you want to have a writing group where you just sit and next to someone and write so that you can get your words out? Or do you want someone to read your stuff? And so you need to have a critique group. Do you want not a critique group? You just want one person that you email back and forth and be like, hey, I'm done with my book. Here's my book. Where's your book? Or what do you think of this chapter? Maybe it's not even being in person with someone. It's just,
Right.
email stuff. So
It's you
how,
defined. It's you
yes,
defined. Yeah.
it's
I mean,
totally you defined.
just
And
it takes everyone. It takes that recruiter at the bar, all joking aside. It takes me who does that. And there's no, that's right for me, but that person who merely wants your business card so they can set up an email correspondence, that's right for them.
yeah,
So, and that's not limiting in that, if that's moving that person forward, it's not limiting them at all.
no, not at all. Be you, lean into
Yeah.
you.
Lean into you. And I think the hard thing is, I'll close on like kind of like my last word will be, I think the hard thing is like, we look at writing as this big, hard to grab, like it's just this big up on the mountain thing. It's hard when you're looking up at it to say like, well, here are my values around climbing this mountain. But you actually can't climb the mountain. I don't think you can climb the mountain without having that internal set of values. Like this is what's important to me. This is what matters. This is going to be my path up to that thing. Because if you're trying to do what everyone else does, or you're making yourself miserable, you're never going to get where you want to go. You have to
Mm.
anchor yourself in what works for you
Mhm.
and not listen to me all the time or what other somebody on. Well, I'm just saying, like somebody might sit here and say, Eric, you sit on the corner of the bar and do your thing, and I'm not going to come over there, and that's fine. Wave to me, but you don't have. It's not obligatory to do it my way. Like you've got to confidently say, I email correspond with my writing partner every week, and that's how I write a better book. That's awesome.
The writing group that I found was I went to an old teacher invited me to a writer's potluck I went kind of scared, didn't know anybody but the teacher. And two people who were in the same writing group were sitting chatting. And I walked up to them and asked them a question about a craft, question. And then they
Yep.
invited me to their group. And we were in the same group for like 10 years. So
Yep.
that's another
Yep.
way to start.
Yep. 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 And I think you got to look at it like broad to like broad. This was an opportunity. It maybe it wasn't going to be the right group for you, but you were open-minded and
Mhm.
you know, yeah.
All right. Well, our time is at an end. I have so much more to say about this, but if you have questions or ideas, we would love to hear from you.
As
Send
well as your
us,
assignment of Toad and Frog and the
yes.
whole continuum. Just let us know who you think we are.
That's awesome. I'll see you next week. Bye
You
for
don't,
now.
I'm just let's
Oh,
just say
yeah.
this.
Okay.
You remember the Frog and Toad story where Frog is sending the letters and and Toad, I forget the whole story, but Frog is like writing this letter to somebody, and Toad knows that that person is like there's some like way Toad knows that those letters aren't going to get to where they need to go. So Toad is answering those letters as if he was that person and kind of validating Frog. And the end, Toad is like, well, I feel like I've been really kind of dishonest with you like that, blah, blah, blah. Like, and Frog is like, oh, well, thank you. And then the book just ends with them sitting there in the city, just quietly sitting, like content with each other. I was like, this is so, oh, this is so like the way the world needs to be. This
Totally.
is so like they take care of each other, they admit their mistakes, and they're happily ever after. Come on.
Right. Yeah, that would be
It's the best
lovely.
rom-com ever.
It's
It
a
is.
bromance.
It is. All buddy stories are romances. Did you
Yeah,
like,
I think
yeah.
so.
They are
Um,
like screenwriting. In screenwriting terms, if you write Dumb and Dumber the same way you write a rom-com, it's the same thing.
oh my God, we have to talk about that. That's going to be an
Oh,
upcoming.
I
Oh,
could talk about it forever. Like the meet cute, the like
all
the
right.
initial like
That's coming soon.
oh
Coming
man.
soon to an
You take
episode near you.
Dumb and Dumber in any Hallmark movie and they're the same script, only different jokes and different punchlines. It's the same thing.
That's awesome. I totally want that to be the next thing we talk about. I want to hear
Oh
all
boy.
about that. All right.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Talk soon.